I think we've got everybody. You can leave your cameras on or off, whatever you guys prefer. The class is about an hour. We might go a little over just because some of the postures I'll give you some more time in. We're going to work on listening to our intuition today and just having fun. Don't push anything too hard. We don't want any injuries. Go ahead and come to your mat. We're going to start in a child's pose. Separate your knees so they're touching. I'm going to fold forward, forehead down, slightly graze. We want an active child's pose here. So make sure you're actively trying to reach towards the top of the mat as you sit back onto your heels. Begin to scan through the body here. Noticing how you feel, noticing how you've arrived on the mat today. Begin to massage your forehead on the mat. Activate your third eye chakra here. When our intuition is blocked, we limit ourselves and our abilities. We second guess our value and our sense of self-worth. By opening ourselves up to the inner knowing, we're able to see the symbols that show up along the way, guiding us to our true purpose. Go ahead and come to a stop. Actively reaching towards the top of the mat again here. Begin to activate your Ujjayi pranayama, inhaling and exhaling through the nose with a slight constriction in the back of the throat. Begin to make an almost audible HA sound as you do it. Listen to your inner voice today. If at any point anything becomes too intense, I invite you back here to the space that you've created with the breath. Remember, the best guru lies within. From here, begin to walk your hands over to the left. If it feels good, maybe stack the right hand on top of the left hand, getting a nice opening here in the side body. Slowly walk your hands back to center. Again, reaching for the top of the mat, really feeling long in the spine here, creating space. Now begin to walk your hands over to the right. If you stacked your hands on the first side, stack the left hand on top of the right this side. Take a big, deep breath in. As you exhale, walk your hands back to the center. Again, really reaching for the top of the mat here. And when it feels good, slowly push yourself up to a tabletop position. Check your alignment here. Make sure your hands are directly below your shoulders. The knees are below the hips. Activate through the Hasta Bandha, your hand lock. Make sure your fingers are spread evenly. Tuck the thumbs in just slightly to protect against your wrist joints. There's about a fist distance between your chin and your chest, and the gaze is down. Inhale, lift the right arm high, look up. And as you exhale, thread it underneath of the left. Extend the left arm straight out in front of you, bringing that right cheek to the mat. You have a couple options here. You can steer, or you can take the half bind. You can take that extended arm and reach around and grab for the opposite hip crease. You can also take the extended arm, reach back, lift up the opposite leg. So that's going to be your right leg. Lift it up, reach back and grab that right foot with the extended arm for a little bit bigger of a twist. Release the right hand down in front of your face. Press up, or the left hand, excuse me, press up. The right arm goes up, gaze goes back up towards the sky. Come back into tabletop. Again, checking your alignment. Inhale the left arm up, reach up. Gaze goes high. Thread it underneath, bringing that left cheek to the mat and extending the right arm out. If you stayed right here the first time, you can stay right here this time. If you took a half bind, take the same half bind on the opposite side. Yoga is all about balance. Release the right hand in front of your face. Slowly push yourself back up. Reach up tall with the left arm. Gaze goes up again. Come back to tabletop. Check your alignment. Make sure your knees are below the hips. Begin to walk your hands forward for melting heart or puppy dog pose. The chest comes straight down. You can rest your forehead on the mat or your chin on the mat, yogi's choice. Just check in with the breath here. Opening up across the shoulders and in the chest. Take a couple more refreshing big breaths in and out right here. Maybe spider crawl the fingers a little farther forward. When we inhale, we find more length. We exhale, we try to go a little bit deeper into the pose. Slowly begin to walk your hands back underneath of your shoulders, coming back into tabletop. Extend the right arm straight out in front, come back to tabletop. Eyes and tail rise high for cat spine, cow spine. Firmly press into the hands, around the spine, bring the chin to the chest, cat. Inhale, come back to cow. Exhale, cat. Flow through this one more time with your own breath. As you come back to tabletop, we're going to do some lateral flexions. Begin to draw the right shoulder towards the right hip. Look over that right shoulder as you do it. Inhale, come back to center. Go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. Make that right or the left shoulder come to the left hip. Look over the left shoulder. Inhaling, come back to center. Flow through this 2 times with your own breath. It's 11:11 here in Nevada, guys. Make a wish. Once you've flowed through those both 2 times on your own with your own breath, coming back to tabletop again, checking your alignment. Extend the right arm straight out like you're about to shake hands. The left leg goes back. Keep the toes on the mat here. Engage your core, draw the belly button up towards your spine. Lift those toes up off the mat. We've got one straight line of energy from the right fingertips to the left heel. Still engaging the core here, reaching for both sides of the room. Bend that knee, reach back, grab for that foot. Tiger pose. Keep the shoulders and the hips square to the mat here. Really kick into the hand with that foot. Release out. Reach for both sides of the room again. Come back to tabletop. Switching sides. The left arm goes out like you're shaking hands. Keep the toes on the mat with the right side. Engage your core. Draw the belly button in as you lift that leg up. Really reaching for both sides of the room. Bend your knee, reach back, grab for that foot. Really kick into it, keeping the hips and shoulders square here. Release out, reaching for both sides of the room again. Come back to tabletop. Tuck your toes here, engage the core, draw the belly button in. Lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Check your alignment here. Really shine your sit bones up towards the sky. Your knees are soft. If it feels good, maybe pedal out the knees, walk your dog. Sway your hips from side to side. Checking in with the inner voice, doing whatever feels good here. Come to a static downward facing dog. Firmly press into the hands. The neck is a natural extension of the spine. The gaze should be up towards your belly button. Inhale the right leg high. Keep the hips square here for 3-legged dog. Open up to half scorpion. Maybe make little circles with the ankle, big circles with the knee. Just finding mobility and fluidity here. Inhale that right leg back up to the sky. Bring it down to meet the left. Again, if it feels good, pedaling out the knees, walking the dog. Don't worry if the heels don't touch. Firmly place your hands down into the mat. Shine the sit bones up. Inhale the left leg up. Three-legged dog. Open up again to half scorpion. Whatever you did on the first side, make sure you do on the second side. Inhale that left leg back up to the sky. Bring it down to meet the right. Doing something a little bit different here. We're going to change our perspective. Check your alignment in downward facing dog. Firmly root down through your hands. Make sure your knees are soft. The gaze is up at your belly button. Shift the weight just slightly to the left side. Take your right hand, grab for your right ankle. Twisting our dog, the gaze goes up under your armpit. Release, come back to center. Switching sides. Twisting our dog in the opposite direction. Again, the gaze goes up. Left hand grabs for the ankle. Take note of the different sensations in the body in this variation. Release. Come back to center. Now flow through both sides with your own breath. Taking note of how you feel and the different perspective you get in this position. As you come back to your downward facing dog, bend your knees real deeply. Look to the top of your mat and walk to the top of your mat. Heel toe your feet out here about a hip distance. That's the length of a dollar bill or your two fists. Bend your knees real deeply. Relax your torso onto the thighs. Grab for opposite elbows. Relax your head and neck down for a ragdoll. Feeling a nice decompression in the spine here. If it feels good, maybe sway from side to side. Maybe nod your head yes. Maybe shake your head no. Maybe make some circles with your shoulders. Again, doing whatever feels good here. Release your hands down to the mat. Take the opposite grip this time. So whatever hand was on top, switch it around. Again, maybe making circles with the shoulders, nodding your head, shaking your head, swaying side to side. Release your hands down to the mat. Heel toe your feet all the way out to the edges of the mat. Toes come off. Sit down low in your Malasana squat. Actively push the elbows into the knees. If you need a blocker or bolster underneath of your sit bones for support, you can totally do that right here. Keep your feet flat. Your back is long. Grow tall through the crown. Again, check in with the inner voice here. Notice the opening sensation that you feel in your hips. Bring the hands down to the mat. Begin to rise up, bringing your sit bones up towards the sky. Heel toe your feet back together. Forward fold. Bring the right hand directly in front of your face on the mat. Bend your right knee, straighten the left leg. Extend the left arm straight up to the sky. Gaze goes up towards your left fingertips. Release. Bring your left hand where your right hand was. Bend the left knee, straighten the right leg. Bring that right arm up, gaze goes up. Release down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift up to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward, release down again. Drop your hips, circle sweep the arms up, upward salute. Bring your hands to high prayer and come down to heart center or namaskar. Remember, we want to trust our intuition today and every day. I invite you to use my mantras in today's practice. I trust my intuition. I create my reality. I love myself. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, fold forward, release down. Plant your hands. Step back to plank pose. Check your alignment here. Make sure the hands are directly below the shoulders. We've got one long line of energy from the crown of the head to the heels. Drop your knees for modified chaturanga. Lower down, belly, chin, and chest. Inhale to baby cobra. The thighs and the tops of the feet are firmly planted into the mat here. The neck is long. We're actively trying to draw our elbows and shoulders down and back. Tuck your toes. Push into your hands. Come back up to plank. Hoist your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale the heels high. Exhale the knees low. Walk to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift up. Exhale, fold forward, release down again. Drop your hips, reverse swan dive up, upward salute. Option for a mini back bend here. Cactus your arms, lead with hips, slightly bend back. Back bend, come back to center. Exhale, fold forward, release it down again. Plant your hands, step back to plank pose again. Chaturanga down. Inhale to baby cobra or upward facing dog. Upward facing dog, the tops of the feet and the palms are on the mat or broad across the collarbones. Gaze is forward. Flip over your feet. Downward facing dog. Inhale the heels high. Exhale the knees low. Hop or step to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift up. Exhale, fold forward, release down. Drop your hips, reverse swan dive up again. Upward salute. Again, option for another mini back bend. Lead with the hips, cactus the arms. Back bends, come back to center. Fold forward, release down. Plant your hands, go through your flow, modifying or intensifying however you need to. This is your practice. Downward facing dog, take a minute to check in with the breath. Check in with your alignment. Inhale the right leg up. Step it through. Drop the back foot flat, square the hips to the top of the mat, engage your core. Round up to warrior one. Check your alignment here. Make sure that back foot is firmly planted flat. The pinky side toe of the foot is down. That front knee is directly below your heel. If you need to walk that front foot closer to the long edge of the mat for a wider stance right here, you can. Arms are up, framing your face, relaxing the shoulders down. Really spark through the fingertips here. One more big deep breath in, and as you exhale, bring the hands down to the mat, frame that foot, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg high, step it through, drop the back foot again, square up, come back up to warrior one. Checking your alignment, relaxing the shoulders, remembering to breathe. Spark through the fingertips, reach tall. Take another big deep breath in for me here. And as you exhale, bring the hands down to the mat. Step back to your downward facing dog again. Bend your knees real deeply, look to the top of the mat. Hop to the top of your mat. Halfway lift up. Fold forward, release down. Listen carefully, drop your hips. Utkatasana chair pose. Weight is in the heels here. When you look down, you should be able to see your toes. Your arms are framing the face. Relax the shoulders down. Sit a little bit lower for me. Bring the hands down into heart center. Inhale to find more length. As you exhale, look left, twist left. Gaze goes over the left shoulder. Make sure that your knees stay in a straight line here. If you need to pull the right hip back to keep them in a straight line, you can do that. Option to stay here. Option to expand the arms out. Go a little bit deeper in that twist for me. Release down, forward fold. Heel toe your feet out about a hip distance. Take your two peace fingers, wrap them around your big toe. Inhale, halfway lift up to a flat back. As you exhale, hollow out the belly, bend the elbows. Bring the crown of the head parallel to the mat. Feeling a nice opening in the low back. And rush of fresh blood to the... Release the toes. Heel toe your feet back together. Halfway lift up to a flat back. Fold forward, release down again. Utkatasana, chair pose, second time. Remember, keep the weight in the heels. Sit a little bit lower for me if you can, bringing your hands into heart center. Inhale to find more length. Look right, twist right. The gaze is over the right shoulder. Firmly pressing the hands here. If you spread arms out the first time, spread them out your second time. Go a little bit deeper for me. Release down, forward fold. You'll toe your feet out again about a hip distance. This time, take your palms, palm up, slide them directly underneath of your feet for gorilla pose. You can bend your knees a whole lot or you can straighten them, yogi's choice. Keep the weight more in the toes here. Hinge forward at the hips, hollowing out the belly. Bring the crown of the head down. To go a little bit deeper, you can bend your elbows and pull yourself a little bit closer. If it feels good while you're here, maybe give your hands a little massage with your feet too. Release the hands out from underneath of your feet. Heel toe the feet back together. Halfway lift up. Forward plant your hands. Go through your flow or meet me in a downward facing dog. Yogi's choice. Downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg high. Step it through. Warrior one. Spark through your fingertips here, warrior one. Reach tall. Check your alignment. Release the hands down by your side. Interlace the fingers. Punch the fist down. Lead with the chest. Hinge forward to humble warrior. Ground down through your feet. Engage your core. Rise back up, warrior one. Straighten that front leg. Bring all 10 toes to face the long edge of your mat here. Come in just a little bit with your feet, unless you're pregnant or have sciatica. Bring the hands interlaced behind your back. Again, punching the fist down. Lead with the chest. Hinge forward at the hips, bringing the crown of the head parallel to the mat. Bring your hands onto your hips with a nice flat back. Slowly round up. Bring the toes out and the heels in. Sit down low in your goddess squat. Cactus your arms. Really try to pull those knees towards the back wall. Your back is flat. Bring the hands to rest onto your knees. Bring your toes in about an inch, if that, maybe half an inch, just a little bit. Stick your butt out like you're about to sit in a chair. Firmly press your left hand into your left knee. Turn your torso to the right. Gaze goes over your right shoulder. Release, come back to center, switch sides. The right hand firmly presses into the right knee. The torso turns to the left. Gaze is up over the left shoulder. Come back to center. Pivot to the top of the mat. Upward salute. Bring your hands to high prayer and come back down to Namaskar, heart center. Step your feet wide again. Toes are off the mat for your Malasana squat. Sit down low. Check in with the inner voice, noticing that sensation we got in the hips here. Release the hands down to the mat. Go through your flow, modifying or intensifying however you need to. Downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg high. Step it through. Warrior one. Spark through your fingertips again here. Release the hands down by your side. Interlace your fingers. Punch the fist down. Moving into humble warrior. In order for us to speak our truth, our head and our heart must be congruent. Ground down through the feet. Spark up through your fingertips again. Warrior one. Straighten that front leg. Pivot the toes to face the long end of the mat again. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Nice flat chest and back. Hinge forward. Coming down to wide-legged forward fold. Opening our third eye and our crown chakra here. Getting all the benefits of fresh blood rushing again to the brain. Bring the hands onto the hips again. Slowly rise up with a flat back, moving into our goddess squat, second time. Sit down low, back flat, really pull those knees back. Release the hands down onto your knees, bring your toes in just a little bit. Twisting our goddess, left hand firmly presses into the left knee, gaze goes over the right shoulder. Come back to center, switch sides. Back to pivot to the top of your mat, upward salute. Again, bring the hands down to heart center, to namaskar. Stepping your feet out wide again for your malasana squat. Sit down low. Check your alignment here. Make sure your feet are flat. If you need a block or a bolster for support, grab it. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're hanging out here for a minute. Release the left hand down flat onto the mat in front of your left foot. The right arm's going up, gaze goes up, malasana twist. Really pull those knees towards the back of the room. Release, come back to center, bring your hands to prayer. Switching sides. The right hand goes in front of the right foot, flat on the mat. Left arm goes up, gaze goes up towards those left fingertips, pull the knees back. Release, come back to center. Plant your hands, go through your flow, or meet me in a downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg high. Step it through. Warrior one. Spark through your fingertips, warrior one. Reach tall. Release the hands down. Punch the fist in. Lead with the chest. Humble warrior. Humble warrior, ground down through your feet. Spark back up, warrior one. Listen carefully this time. Open up, warrior two. Reach for both sides of the room. The gaze is forward like you just threw a spear. Straighten that front knee. Pop the back hip back. Reach forward, moving into triangle pose. Your hand can come down to your shin, the quad, or the floor. The left arm is up, gaze is up. Bend that front knee. Come back to warrior two. Again, reaching for both sides of the room. Straighten that front leg. Pivot the toes so that they're facing the long end of the mat. Reaching still for both sides of the room here at star pose. Really feeling expansive at all 5 points of our body here. Grow tall through your crown. Listen carefully. Turn the left toes to face the small end of the mat on the left side. Turn your hips. Rotate the arms up. Warrior one. Make sure that back foot is firmly planted on the pinky side as well. Reach tall, warrior one. Drop your hands down, interlace your fingers. Take the opposite grip this time. Lead with the chest. Coming back into humble warrior. Remembering that when our head and our heart is congruent, we speak our truth. Humble warrior, come back up to warrior one. Spark through your fingertips. Open up. Reach for both sides of the room. Warrior two. Gazes forward. Straighten that front knee. Pop that hip back. Reach forward. Moving into triangle pose. Triangle pose. Bend that front knee. Come back to warrior two. Again, still reaching for both sides of the room. Straighten that front knee. Pivot the toes again to face long ways on the mat. We're back in star. Really feel expansive from all 5 points. Listen carefully. Turn the right foot to the small end of the mat. Pivot that back foot around and up. Lift the heel. Crescent lunge. Arms come up. That back leg is strong like a tree trunk here. Engage your core. Bring the hands down to heart center. Find stability in that front foot. With buoyancy in the back foot, lift up to warrior three. Flex the toes in towards your nose. It helps with your balance. You can keep your hands in heart center. You can airplane them out, or you can extend them straight out in front of you for full extension of warrior three, yogi's choice. Hold steady here. Draw the belly button in towards the spine. Release the hands down to the mat for standing splits. Try to draw the torso as close to the thigh as you can. Don't worry about how high the other foot goes. Release down, forward fold. Halfway lift up. Plant your hands. Go through your flow, modifying or intensifying however you need to. This is your practice, remember. I trust my intuition. I create my reality, and I love myself. Downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg high. Step it through, crescent lunge. That back heel's lifted, the back leg is strong. Arms are framing your face here. Bring your hands down to heart center. Find stability in that front foot, buoyancy in the back. Lift up, warrior three. Check your alignment here. Really try to pull that heel up towards the sky. Flex the toes in. Release down, standing splits. Again, trying to pull your torso as close to your thigh as possible. Try to kiss your knee if you can. Release down, forward fold. And go through your flow, or meet me in a downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, take a minute to check in with the breath. Check your alignment. Inhale the right leg up. Step it through. Crescent lunge. That back heel still lifted. Back leg strong. Arms are up. Bring your hands down to heart center. Inhale to find more length. As you exhale, look right, twist right. Firmly pressing the hands together. Lock your elbow on your knee. Gazes over your right shoulder. Actively trying to keep that back leg strong here still, guys. Release both hands down to the mat to frame that front foot. Step back to plank pose. Engage your core. Check your alignment here. Bring the right hand directly in front of your face on the mat. Stack your heels. Open up to Vashisthasana side plank. Option to drop the knee here if you need to. Come back to plank and hoist your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg high. Hang on, somebody's trying to call. Oh my God. Sorry if I lost you guys for a minute. Someone was trying to call. Inhale the left leg high. Step it through. Crescent lunge. Engage your core here. Arms are framing the face. Bring the hands down to heart center. Find stability here in that front foot with buoyancy in the back. Coming back to warrior three. Release the hands down to standing splits. Come into your forward fold. Plant your hands, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg high. Step it through, crescent lunge. Bring your hands down to heart center. Inhale to find more length. As you exhale, look left, twist left. Firmly pressing the hands into each other, locking the elbow and the knee. The gaze goes over that left shoulder. Release the hands down to the mat. Step back again to plank pose, checking your alignment here. Bring the left hand directly underneath of your face. Stack your hips, moving into Vashisthasana side plank on the second side. Release, coming back to plank. Hoist your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Check in with your alignment. We're going to change our perspective again here in downward facing dog. We're going to do something a little bit different. Really shine your sit bones up. Firmly press into the hands. Make sure the back of the neck is long, your gaze is up. Slowly come down onto your forearms for dolphin pose. Check in with the inner voice here. Notice the different sensations in your body in this variation. Take another big breath in and out right here in dolphin for me. Slowly drop your knees down to the mat for hero. You can have your heels together and you can sit back on them, or you can separate them out and sit down between your heels. But if you sit down between them, make sure that you're grounded all the way down onto the ground here. If you need a blanket, a towel, or a bolster for some more support down here, you can do that. We're going to make little hooks with our pointer finger and our thumb. We're going to firmly press into our heels with those little hooks. Sit up nice and tall, engage your core, draw the belly in. So we're rounding the belly in, bring the chin to the chest, slowly round down for rabbit pose. As you do this, you're pushing into your heels. Rabbit pose helps create space in the low back, and it also brings fresh blood to the brain. It also stimulates the crown chakra, which is our connection to our divine inner voice. You have the option to stay right here in rabbit pose, or if you want to take a yogi's choice inversion, you can do that right now as well. If you took an inversion, you come out of it now. Come back to rabbit. If you stayed in rabbit, slowly round yourself back up to hero pose. Sitting up nice and tall here in hero. Setting up for camel pose. When back is long, your hands are rested on your knees. Come up onto your knees. Bring the hands to the small of your back, almost like you're putting them in back pockets. Draw the elbows and shoulders down and back. Push the hips forward. Slowly round back. Only go a little bit the first time. Just see where you feel comfortable. Leading with the hips. Come back up, nice flat back. Sit back down onto your heels. Taking a few refreshing breaths in and out right here. Come back up onto your knees. Maybe spread them a little bit wider this time. Go a little bit deeper if you can. Only go till you feel a slight sensation. Push the hips forward and bend back. Maybe bring the head and neck back this time. Come back up, nice flat back. Sit back down onto your heels. Again, taking a few breaths here in center. Moving into our third and final camel, come back up onto your knees. If you want to separate your legs or your knees a little bit wider here, you can. Again, setting up the exact same way. Lead with the hips, round back. Bring your head and neck back this time. Go as deep as you can. If it feels good, release the hands down, grab your ankles. Roll the shoulders up and back. Inhale, come back up. Come back to sit on your knees. Again, taking a few more breaths right here in center. Letting the spine readjust. Moving into tabletop. Check your alignment. Walk your hands forward about a foot in front of you. Take the right foot, step it outside of your right pinky. So we've got a wide stance here. Option to stay right here if this is more than enough for you. If you want to go a little bit deeper, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and come up. Again, you have the option to stay here. And if you want to go a little bit deeper in this variation, you can come back down onto your forearms. Wherever you're at in your practice, come back up onto your hands. Drop the back knee and the toes. Turn your right toes so that they're off of the mat. Begin to walk your hands to the left about a foot or so. Make sure that they're shoulder distance apart. Your left hand's directly underneath of your shoulder on the left side. Take your right hand, firmly press into the right knee. Turn your torso to the right, gaze goes over that right shoulder. Release. Bring your hands directly in front of you on the mat again. Toes face forward. Slowly come back into tabletop. Same thing on the second side. Walk your hands forward again about a foot. The left foot's coming outside of the left pinky. Whatever you did on the first side, make sure you do on the second side. So if you tucked the toes and lifted the knee and came down on your forearms, make sure you do that this time. Check in with the breath. Notice how you feel in this pose. Wherever you're at, come up onto your hands, drop the back knee and foot, turn the left toes off of the mat. Walk your hands to the right just a little bit. Your right hand stays your right hand stays directly under your right shoulder. The left hand firmly presses into the left knee. Turn your torso to the left. Gaze goes over that left shoulder. Slowly release out. And come back into tabletop one step at a time. Exactly how you came into it is how you come out. From tabletop, walk your hands out, this time only about 6 inches in front of you. Don't have to go as far. Bring your right knee to your right wrist. Lay the shin bone down naturally. Walk that left leg straight out behind you. Keep the knee down. Keep the top of the foot on the mat. Your hips are square here. Inhale to find more length. As you exhale, begin to fold forward. You can come down onto your forearms. You can make little pillows with your fists, or you can come all the way down for sleeping pigeon. Slowly begin to push yourself back up. Bring the right hand on the mat in front of your face. Take the left hand, reach back for the knife edge side of the foot, moving into half mermaid. If full mermaid is in your practice, I invite you to take that now. Release down. Come to sit on your glutes. Extend the left leg out to the side. Bring the right heel to the inside of your left thigh. Sit up nice and tall, ground down through your sit bones. Inhale, both arms up. We're going to do a lateral flexion to the left. Bring the left arm to the inside of your left leg. That right arm reaches up and over. We're reaching for the toes. You might not be able to get there. If you can, cool. If not, don't worry about it. Try not to tuck your chin. It's opening up on the side body here. Release out. Bring that right hand behind your right glute. Press down into the hand and the right knee. Come up to modified wild thing. Push those hips forward. Really feel it long here. Come onto your glutes. Sit down. Again, walking your hands out about 6 inches this time. Bring the left knee to the left wrist. Lay that shin bone down naturally. Walk that right leg straight out behind you. Square your hips here. Begin to fold forward into sleeping pigeon. Again, going down only where you feel comfortable. Listening to our inner voice and our intuition today. Slowly push yourself back up. This time bring the left hand on the mat in front of your face. Reach back for the right foot. Moving into half mermaid or full mermaid if it's in your practice. Release down onto your glutes. This time the right leg goes out long ways to the side. That left heel comes into the left thigh. Ground down through your sit bones. Reach tall. Lateral flexion to the right this time. Grabbing for the toes. The right hand stays on the inside of the leg. Try not to tuck the chin in. Behind your left glute to modified wild thing on the second side. Come back down onto your glutes. Separate your legs wide this time for wide-legged forward fold. Keep a nice flat back. Flex your toes in here. Ground down through your sit bones. Begin to walk your hands forward, keeping your back nice and flat here. Only go until you feel a slight sensation. Once you reach that point, hold right there, keeping the toes flexed. If it feels good, maybe ankle your toes, and try to pull yourself closer to the ground, keeping your back flat. Listen to the inner voice. Don't go past that threshold point. Inhale and come slowly back up. Bring the right shin parallel to the long edge of your mat here. Flip stack the left shin directly on top of it for double pigeon or fire log, depending on what region you learned your yoga poses. Sit up nice and tall, ground down through your sit bones here. If you need a block or support underneath here, you can always do that as well. This can be kind of an uncomfortable position if your hips are tight. If you want to stay right here, grounding down, sitting up nice and tall, you can stay right here. If you want to go a little bit deeper in the pose, open those hips up just a little bit more. Begin to walk your hands forward and fold yourself down. Again, remembering to breathe here, breathing into any tension or discomfort that we might have. Fresh oxygen to our tight hips. Slowly push yourself back up. Cross the legs, your feet flat to the mat, hip and wiper blade your legs from left to the right. Neutralize those hips after that. Switch sides, bring the left leg parallel to the mat. Flex your toes, the right leg comes on top. Ground down through your sit bones, sit up nice and tall. If you hinged forward on the first side, make sure you do so on the second side. Remembering that intuition is a skill, not a gift. Inner visioning is the commitment we make to ourselves to let go of the limited beliefs that block our ability to see ourselves beyond the literal and logical realm. Inner visioning allows us to reclaim our power and allows us to let go of attachments and certain narratives, and we begin to move towards a place of understanding and forgiveness. We begin to mature our soul into its awakening. Slowly push yourself back up. Sit up nice and tall. Release the hands behind you. Swing the feet flat to the mat. Wiper blade your legs again, neutralizing your hips. Come long ways on the mat. Point your toes. Bring the legs together. Bring the palms flat down onto the mat underneath of your sit bones. Begin to come back down onto your forearms and your elbows. Point the chest up towards the sky. And if it feels good, relax your head and neck back. Bring a nice opening across the collarbones here in fish pose. This pose is awesome to reverse the effects of slouching or sitting at a desk for long periods of time, or even sitting in the car and driving long distances. Release flat all the way onto your back now. Setting up for waterfall or legs up the wall. Bring your legs align with the hip socket. Flex the toes in your nose. Just letting gravity do the work here. Setting up for plow, engage the core and the lower abdominals with very little momentum and a lot of core work. Bring those feet up and over your head. Don't worry if your toes don't quite touch the mat behind you. Keep the neck long. You can bring your hands to the small of your back for more support, or you can reach up and grab your toes. Yogi's choice. Keep that neck in a neutral position wherever you're at in your practice. Bring your hands to the small of your back. Begin to push yourself up into shoulder stand. We want one long line of energy from the shoulders to our feet. Shoulder stand's great because it reverses the flow of lymph in the body, and it's awesome for immunity. Spread your legs wide, bend your knees. Bring your knees down to frame your face for Deaf Man. And slowly with control, in the core, keeping the knees bent, lower down, one vertebrae at a time, trying to count every single one all the way down. Take a nice massage down through the spine as you do it. Once your feet come down onto the mat, bring the heels together, the soles of the feet together to touch. Bring your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, almost like we've got two diamond shapes here, one at top with the arms and one on bottom with the legs. Close your eyes here. Begin to scan through your body. Check in with the breath, noticing how you feel. Keep your eyes closed here. Slowly move into your final Shavasana. As you do this, begin to think about what it means to align yourself with the cosmic consciousness. Think about what it means to be aware, what it means to be in line with your ideas, your imagination, and your intuition. Take another second to get just a little bit more comfortable wherever you're at, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Begin to relax your face, your jaw, your shoulders. Feel the arms fall heavy by your side. Begin to notice the rise and the fall of the belly with each inhale and each exhale. Slowly begin to fall deeper into relaxation. Feel the hips become soft. Relax your thighs, your knees, your shins. Begin to feel the feet fall heavy towards the ground. Take the next few minutes to lay and bear witness to the aspect of your consciousness that's now illuminated. Wherever your attention may have drifted, bring it back to your breath, to the rise and the fall of the belly. Now begin to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Maybe turn your head from side to side. Maybe one big morning stretch, really reaching from fingertips to toes. Well, it feels good. Keeping the eyes closed or downcast, move to the fetal side of your choice, using your arms as a pillow. Giving yourself a slight smile because you gave yourself this time today. You want to feel slowly push yourself back up to an easy seat. Bring your hands into Namaskar, into heart center. Remember that when you're open to receiving, you become a channel for all the blessings of the universe to flow through you, and you start to feel and notice the healing opportunities and growth that are all around you. Thank you for letting me guide you through your moving meditation today. Namaste.